What is up guys, Rickhackis here, and today we're taking an in-depth look at the Division's revolutionary PvP system. Like other loot-based shooters, the Division could have taken the easy approach and simply tacked on a team deathmatch style PvP with some additional game types thrown in. But instead, the Division has basically redefined what PvP is for a loot-based shooter and has crafted its PvP to be focused around the aspects of attaining loot. Now, I've been making a few Division videos as of late because I am a fan of loot-based shooters and I am extremely excited for the Division. However, I have not played any of the recent Division Alpha on the Xbox One, but there's a very good reason for that. You see, to be able to be making these type of videos, I could not have played that Alpha, and the reason being is because to play the Alpha, I would have had to sign a non-disclosure agreement preventing me from A, recording gameplay, and B, even talking about the game publicly. So all of this information has been given to me by individuals who have participated in the alpha, and I'm keeping those individuals anonymous. Now, in those past videos, I have talked a little bit about Division's PvP, but it turns out I was only 90% correct. This video is going to clear up that 10% and also just really kind of dive into, in a very in-depth fashion, exactly how the Division's PvP works. So without further ado, let's get started. The PvP areas of the Division are known as dark zones. They are areas of the map that you can enter into seamlessly at any time. So you can be walking around either by yourself or with a squad doing player versus environment things and then decide, hey, you know what? I want to go into a dark zone. You simply enter into this area of the map and there you go, you've now entered the Division's PvP. Now, as I said earlier in the video, the PvP in the Division is not simply tacked on, but it rather complements the Division's loot system. Now, why that is because when you're in these dark zones, you are looking exclusively to loot. Loot is not randomly awarded at the end of a match. In fact, there are no matches per se within this PvP system. While you're in dark zones, there's going to be areas of the map that have lootable sources. So there's going to be a chest surrounded by AI enemies. Killing these AI enemies, and they'll be a little bit harder to kill than a normal player versus environment, but in any event, killing these AI enemies and then looting that chest will then award you with a weapon or two. So again, the way you attain loot within the dark zone is pretty similar to that of PvE. You fight AI enemies that are guarding sort of lootable sources, chests, boxes, whatever, and then inside these lootable sources you find your weapons. However, it's not that easy. You see, after you open, let's say, a chest and are awarded with a special weapon, and the weapons that spawn within the dark zone are going to be generally a higher rarity than that you can just find in a chest outside of the dark zone. So let's say you find a gold submachine gun, a very good weapon. You don't actually get that weapon right away. You see, this weapon is going to be infected, and the only way to actually add this to your character's inventory is to extract from the dark zone. So you're going to have to take this new loot that you found and go to an area that you're able to extract. You're then going to have to call for an extraction, at which point a helicopter is going to have a timer and slowly come on its way to come and extract you. And if you are able to survive at that zone and be there for when the helicopter arrives, you're going to be able to extract your gear. Once you do that, that gear is going to be added into your inventory forever. Now, in between the point where you actually loot the gear and you extract that gear, that's where we have the main focus of the PvP aspect. That's where you're going to have to deal with other players. Now, at any time, a player in the dark zone can choose to engage another player and try to kill them. If you shoot another player in the dark zone, you will go rogue. Now, once you go rogue, there's actually a rogue timer that's going to start counting down. If you kill one player and then survive the rogue timer, so you're alive for the entirety of this timer until it ends, you are going to be awarded with a certain amount of money and experience. Now, if you're actually the player that is killed in the dark zone, you're going to lose a little bit of money and experience. Getting killed is a bad thing. However, if you're killed while you are a rogue, you're going to lose a substantially larger portion of your money and experience. Not only that, but all of the experience that you've gained up to the point while you are a rogue, that player who killed you will then gain that experience. As a result, going rogue is extremely high risk, high reward. Yes, you will get an experience and money bonus if you survive the countdown timer, but if you're killed along the way, you will lose all of that experience and money. Now, why would you ever choose to go rogue if the downside is that substantial? Well, remember I was talking earlier about the loot. If you are killed by a player when you are carrying loot that you found in the dark zone before you extract it, you drop that loot. So that gold submachine gun, if you are killed before you extract it, you drop that loot and that player who killed you can pick it up. And then they have to then extract with that weapon to actually get that loot. However, the greedier you get, the higher the stakes are raised. You see, there's actually 5 different levels to a rogue status that you can attain. It isn't simply just shooting an enemy will make you go rogue. You can actually keep killing enemies and get up to level 5 for how rogue you are. The higher level you attain, again, it's a bigger reward if you actually survive the timer, or it's a bigger loss if you are actually killed. If a player actually does achieve rank 5 in the rogue status, a manhunt is going to be issued for that player, and every single player in the dark zone will be alerted to that player's location, and they're all going to try to track you down and kill you. In addition, when you're in the dark zone and you actually encounter other players, it's going to tell you if that player is a non-hostile agent or they've gone rogue. So you're going to know right away if you've encountered a player who has killed another player and is still in that rogue countdown timer. As a result, going rogue isn't just as simple as shooting another player. You're really going to have to kind of plan it out. You're going to have to maybe trick other players, work your way into their organization, their group, and then plan your opportune moment to kill them and take their loot. Not only that, but you'll also have to have a proper escape plan because you're then going to have to survive that rogue countdown timer and extract if you actually want to keep that loot. So guys, that's how the Division's PvP works, and I've got to say, I'm extremely excited for this. Like I've said at the beginning, the main reason is simply because this PvP seems like it is designed around its loot system. Everything in this PvP is done to complement the whole aspect of gathering loot within the game. You know, going into these dark zones, the reason you're going in is to get this loot and then try to extract. And obviously, you can encounter other players that are trying to prevent this along the way. But doing so, being a player that kills another player, comes with a huge downside. It's a huge risk to do so because then people will know that you've killed other players, they will be trying to kill you back, and you're going to get a substantial penalty if you die. So again, it's just, I like this whole aspect. I like this whole kind of, democracy aspect where it's not just black and white. If I see a player that just looted something, I'm going to kill him. I've really got to think about it. I've got to even maybe trick that player into thinking I'm his friend, or I can actually legitimately team up with that player, form kind of a super group, and go around the dark zone making a ton of different extractions. But I think one of the biggest reasons that I'm excited for this PvP is simply because it's different. It would have been so easy for Ubisoft to just tack on a team deathmatch mode in the Division, so easy, and I'm sure it would have been fun and a lot of players would have enjoyed it, but it just wouldn't even hold a candle to what they've created with these dark zones. And I also really like how the dark zones, although you do lose loot sometimes and there is somewhat of a downside for dying, it isn't really a huge downside. The penalty isn't that big that it's going to be intimidating for new players to take part in the dark zones, because if you go in and you're immediately shot, whatever, you just respawn and you don't lose anything because you haven't gained any new loot. The only loot you lose is the loot you've actually attained in the dark zones. So it's not like you're losing the weapons and armor that you've attained in PvE, and I really like that. You know, something like, and I can't believe I'm using this example, but the wilderness in RuneScape, where you actually lose everything that you have equipped, is so daunting that a lot of players choose not to take part. So I think that the Dark Zones in the Division is kind of the perfect balance between risk, reward, and actually trying to get loot, but also having, you know, other players trying to get it as well. Like, it's just really good balance. You don't lose that much, so you're not intimidated out of participating, but there's a reason enough to participate in that good loot that players will want to play it. Now, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, and if you learned something new in this video, please remember to help me out by simply rating and sharing this video. Now, if you want to see more Division content, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. Now, if you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter. That's linked in the description of this video down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can follow as well. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.